Today we will be exploring the animal cell and examining each of the organelles. Some organelles are found only in the animal cell, and some organelles are only found in the plant cell. First up is the cell membrane. The cell membrane is the organelle that supports and protects the cell. It is what regulates the movement of material in and out of the cell. The cell membrane is made up of a double-layer sheet called a liquid bilayer, protein channels that help charged and larger materials through, and carbohydrate chains. There are two types of transports through the membrane: active transport and passive transport. Active transport requires energy from the cell. Passive transport requires no energy from the cell. Next up is the brain of the cell. This organelle is the nucleus. The job of the nucleus is to control most of the process of the cell. It also contains the hereditary information of the DNA. Now we're at the nucleolus. The nucleolus is where the assembly of ribosomes begins. Continuing through the nucleus of the cell, we'll find chromatin. They're the DNA bound to the protein. Now we're at the endoplasmic reticulum, or ER. The ER is the organelle that is responsible for assembling components of the cell membrane, and it's where the proteins are modified. First, we're going to go to the rough ER. The rough ER is identified by its name because it's studded with ribosomes. New proteins move from the ribosome to the rough ER where they can be chemically modified. Next is the smooth ER. The smooth ER has no ribosomes on its surface. This part of the ER contains collections of enzymes that perform special tasks. Next are the ribosomes. Ribosomes are very small particles that are made up of RNA and proteins. Although they're very small, they have one of the most important jobs of the cell. That job is the production of the proteins. They follow coded instructions that come directly from the nucleus. Next is the Golgi apparatus. It's a stack of membranes where enzymes attach carbohydrates and lipids to the proteins. From there, they are sent off to their final destination. The Golgi apparatus is basically the sorter of the cell. Next is the centrioles. Centrioles are only found in the animal cell, and they are involved in cell division. Next are microtubules. They are hollow tubes of protein that are about 25 nanometers in diameter. They serve as a sort of track along which organelles are moved. Next up is the mitochondria. Now the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. This organelle uses energy from food to make high-energy compounds that are used by the cells for growth, development, and movement. Next is the lysome. One job of the lysome is to break down proteins, lipids, and carbohydrates from food into particles. These particles will be used for the rest of the cell. Another function of this organelle is to help break down organelles in the cell that have outlived their usefulness. One more vital function that lysomes perform is the removal of debris that could clutter up the cell. So our final organelle is cytoplasma. It's material inside the cell membrane that holds the other organelles. This takes up most of the space in the cell. Lastly, I'm going to be talking about animal cell versus plant cells. Animal cells and plant cells have several differences. For example, animal cells don't have a cell wall or a chloroplast, but plant cells do. Animal cells are rounded, while plant cells have a rectangular shape. So I hope you enjoyed touring the animal cell, and now you know all the key features, characteristics, and the organelles of this animal cell. I hope you enjoyed.